Hello, welcome. And today we're going to be using the spectrophotometer in order to look at plant pigment. More specifically, we're going to be looking at the chlorophyll inside of spinach leaves. This is one of my personal favorite ones. I do enjoy doing it because it's simple and you can do it anywhere. Here we have spinach leaves in a bag. I'm going to pop it inside of this bowl because the next step is going to be add isopropanol. Where do you find isopropanol? Well, at your local supermarket. You can get it from, this one's called Icicle. It's rubbing alcohol and it's about 70% alcohol. So I'll just pop quite a bit in. Seal the lid again. Close my Ziploc bag. Okay, it doesn't look like it's leaking, that's great. Now I'm just going to give it a little bit of a rub to help it on its way. Now you could do this by grinding it up in a mortar and pestle. I've also seen it done where you freeze the spinach leaves first to help lyse the cells. All these will work. I'll just get some of the air out of this bag as well. Okay, and now I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. So we'll come back 10 minutes later. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. So I'm going to smush it up a bit more. When I have a look at the liquid, I can see that we're getting quite nice extracted chlorophyll out of there. Okay, so we're also getting a lot of other things. So what I'm going to do is filter it. Again, we can use household items. This is a coffee filter, again, available from your local store. Now, it is important to note that since we are using rubbing alcohol, I am using gloves to be safe. I'm using glasses. I'm also ensuring that there's no flames that are going to be in this area. Okay. Going to seal the bag again and move it nicely out of the way so everything's nice and safe. As you can see, we have a nice filtration happening here. We'll just let that go for a moment longer. Okay, so we've let it go a bit longer. Now I have something that I can sample. Now we do have it here. If I had chromatography paper, I could actually use that in order to get a nice view of the various of chlorophyll A and B. But luckily for me, I have a spectrophotometer. So with the spectrophotometer, we'll be able to analyze the wavelengths beautifully. So I have my cuvette. We'll put some of this in. Okay, the lid goes on the cuvette. We're ready to go. I have the cuvette, I have my blank, which is just some isopropanol. Going to turn on my spectrophotometer. Now, because it's Go Direct, I can Bluetooth it to the computer. So here we go, over to spectral analysis. Now here on spectral analysis, I'm going to start by connecting my spectrophotometer. Okay, connected. Now I'm going to click Done. I want to look at the full spectrum to begin with, so I'm going to go absorbance versus wavelength, but looking at the full spectrum. Now it's going to warm up the lamp. It is very important whenever doing any experiment with your spectrophotometer to give it the time to warm up. If you find you're getting a very weird peaks and troughs that you weren't expecting, quite often it is due to not warming up the lamp or not having the appropriate blank. In this case, our blank will be the isopropanol. So we'll come back in a moment once this has warmed up. Okay, so we're now ready to calibrate, so I'm going to take my blank. In this case, it is the isopropanol. So we'll pop that in there, finish calibration, and we'll get a nice flat line. If we didn't allow the light to warm up, you'll find that you won't get a nice flat line, or if you're using the wrong blank. Now that it's all calibrated, I can go up and click on Collect. I can remove my isopropanol, I can put in my chlorophyll. And there we go. We have two beautiful peaks. You have this wonderful one for chlorophyll A and B. Absolutely gorgeous. One is, of course, in the blue part of the spectrum with a little bit in the red part of the spectrum. So we get a nice green color. Now this isn't the only thing we can do with this though, because something that chlorophyll does is fluoresce. So we can look at the amount of chlorophyll that's inside of here. When you fluoresce it, when you give it a blue part of the spectrum, say UV, it'll fluoresce into the red part of the spectrum. Very exciting. So we'll go back to the software and we'll set it up for that so you can see. So in this case, I'm going to hit stop. I want to keep those, so I'm just going to very quickly save them. And then I'm going to go File, New Experiment. I'm going to come down to Fluorescence. I'm going to go Wavelength versus Full Spectrum. Now one thing you will be able to notice is here, it has started fluorescing quite nicely. I can see it through the sides of the cuvette. Looks awesome. Okay, so now we're ready to go. I do want to change the wavelength though, from 500 to 405. I also want to change the integration time. If I go collect right now with it at 50, I get a very little peak. That's okay. In order to get the peak a little bit higher, I want to change the integration time. I'm going to bump that up to 200. That'll just increase the amount of time we're looking at that, and so we'll get a much higher peak, quite well defined. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I'll hit stop there, and you can see that beautiful peak in fluorescence. Now there is a later workshop that I do like to do, and I'll add a video link for that. What it is looking at grades of olive oil. So the amount of chlorophyll in different levels, different grades of olive oil. That is going to be quite a fun one, so look out for it next time. For now, if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me on the following email address.